Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the faculty and the staff, family, friends of the graduates, and members of our graduating class, welcome to this, the 9th Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA Program Commencement Ceremony. I'm Rich Lyons, Dean of Berkeley Haas, the Haas School of Business here. It is my duty and great pleasure to co-officiate at this ceremony with Amir Ziv, who is the Vice Dean and also the Sandberg Faculty Director and Professor of Accounting at Columbia Business School. He will address you shortly. And this is a great day. It's a great day for many reasons, but I want to cite two in particular. First, it is a celebration of your personal achievement for having persevered through 19 months of rigorous general management, education, and curriculum, having succeeded in mastering new skills, abilities, all the while managing your demanding, stressful jobs, maintaining your active family, your social lives. Many of you regularly traveled long distances to take classes, and also every 3 weeks. It was a demanding schedule, either here in Berkeley or in New York at Columbia. In fact, I understand that two of you commuted from China on the one hand and Colombia on the other, Colombia with an O rather than a U. We know this wasn't always easy, but your accomplishment in finding ways to balance all of these commitments is nothing short of remarkable. We applaud you for it. Also, this is the 9th commencement of our Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA program. It is a unique joining of two great business schools and two great universities. The breadth and depth of professional experience that is represented here by this class of 68 members who are graduating, it is truly extraordinary. It is no wonder that the Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA program is considered among the best. Such programs, the faculty and staffs of both schools have worked very, very hard to meet your expectations as well as our own standards of excellence. I had the great pleasure of meeting and getting to know many of you while you were students here, and I look forward to spending time with you as alumni in the years to come. A little bit of history. The program was conceived and launched in June 2002 by former Haas School Dean Laura Tyson and also Mayor Feldberg, then Dean at Columbia Business School. It has been a success since its launch. It clearly meets a growing need among experienced executives for a high-quality general management MBA program. And because this is a dual degree program of two business schools, you all have earned 2 MBA degrees, one from Columbia, one from UC Berkeley. This is another unique distinction among U.S. business schools. It means that you have satisfied the academic requirements of the faculties of both of those two schools. That's not easily done, but you managed it. Congratulations. We also have another reason to congratulate you as a class and as individuals today. The Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA class of 2012 graduating gift campaign received gifts from 65% of your classmates. You and your classmates have so far raised over $34,000, including many, many company matches. The leaders of this effort are your classmates, Jeremy, Robin, and Joel. Jeremy Kish, Robin Kwok, and Joel Minton. Thank you for all three of you and all the people that participated in that. We will be investing those funds back in the success and strength of this wonderful program. Here is some news that you may not know about, but it is worth repeating in case you have. Members of your class, like all Berkeley MBA graduates from this year onward, are eligible to participate free of charge, free of incremental charge, in 2 days of executive education. It has to happen within the first 5 years of graduation. And this is offered through our Berkeley Center for Executive Education. The idea is, this is of course a passing here today, a transition into something new, but you will of course be still developing and still learning. We want to keep you connected to that, keep you connected to the defining principle here at Berkeley of students always. And it's one of our very important defining principles. Many of you have heard me say that I believe all top schools have a common mission, and that is to produce leaders. And given the challenges of the global economy, your skills as business leaders are needed more than ever. Through this program, we have taught you the lessons of being a more entrepreneurial, a more innovative leader, also to the best of our effort to make you a more responsible leader. We hope we have given you the tools to find fresh solutions to the problems that we face as a society and world, to lead your organizations ethically and with high principles. I look forward to seeing how you take what you learned during your time in our program to make our world and our economy better for everyone. You have what it takes to leave an impact that will live beyond you many, many times over. Let me say a few words about the program and some of the things that distinguish it. I'll be brief. Look, the norms and values that define any organization are about as fundamental as it gets. And if you're going to choose one thing, it means you're not going to choose another. And those choices matter. They matter for the way people behave, and they matter for how people find meaning in being part of those organizations. That is something we at Berkeley Haas have spent a lot of time thinking about. One of the things that we wrote down as a defining principle was question the status quo. And most people, when they hear that, the first thing I think they think is, this is Berkeley after all. So this is a habit of mind that does come naturally to people that are attracted to Berkeley. It's also a terribly important habit of mind going forward. And also speaking out when things don't look and sound right. That's an important part of that habit of mind. The second one, I won't go through all of them. The second one is very important. Confidence without attitude. Confidence without attitude. Real confidence comes without attitude. We want the confidence. We want the strivers. We want the big ambitions. These are some of the principles as we think about students always, beyond yourself. Look, we want to take a stand. We need to take a stand. It is not legitimate anymore for business schools to not take a stand on what they're about. We want you to do well. It is a wonderful thing that the gap between doing well and doing good has never been smaller. And that's an exciting part of modern MBA programs. We talk a lot about path-bending leaders here. Yes, they're entrepreneurial, they're innovative, but path-bending. Sometimes people ask me as a dean, what does it all add up to, Rich? What are you doing here? You're in an important seat. You are a steward of one of society's more important assets. What are you doing? One of the things that comes to mind for me is my two kids. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old. When I look at my kids, different things come to mind than when my parents looked at me, and that's one generation ago, a tiny slice of time in the grand scheme. I look at my kids, and part of what comes to mind is that we have indeed been on a bunch of pathways over the last 20 or 30 years that look pretty close to linear, that cannot remain linear over my kids' lifetimes. Cannot. And what comes to mind for most of us are the usual things. We could talk about healthcare expenditure, or public education, or access to safe water around the world, or the economics of aging, or energy use, or climate. My kids are going to be around in 2080. Sounds like a ridiculously long time. Those paths will need to get bent between now and 2080, and almost surely between now and the end of our lifetimes. It is the marketplace that will do most of the bending, and it is the leaders of the organizations that populate that marketplace. That is the human capital we need to do the bending. Fortunately, these are enormous commercial opportunities. So that's part of what it all adds up to. If we can do our part, and hopefully more than our part, to put as many path-bending leaders into that system over the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, that's a good day's work. Before I turn over the program to Dean Ziv, I want to offer special thanks to a group of individuals who've worked hard and sacrificed to make this day possible for the soon-to-be graduates. I think you know who I'm talking about. It is the spouses, the significant others, the children, the parents, the employers, the friends of these graduating students. They are back. I hope that's a good thing. They're back. And it's a great thing what they have achieved, and it's a great thing what you've achieved, because they wouldn't have achieved this without your support. You nurtured, you supported them with all those terrifically busy schedules. How they've accomplished what they have, given what they are doing and what you are doing, is really quite remarkable. That's an important part of what we are celebrating here today. It is now my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Vice Dean, Columbia Business School, Amir Ziv. Please, Amir.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be part of the recognition ceremony for the Berkeley Columbia EMBA class of 2012. Special congratulations from all of us at Columbia Business School to all of the 68 graduates. You are an extraordinary class and an extraordinary diverse group that represents many industries and backgrounds, from finance, real estate, and consulting, to entertainment, biotechnology, and health services. You're incredibly accomplished. 38% of you enter the class with at least one other advanced degree under your belt, and you will find among you humanitarians, travel enthusiasts, foodies, several outdoorsmen, a few dancers, and I hear one can move like Jagger. Also, some entrepreneurs, a certified ski diver, and even one newly engaged couple. A group of you represented us at the 2011 Venture Capital Investment Competition and placed as semifinalists. And perhaps some of the most talented people of you all are the parents in your class. 10 of you welcomed a new child to your families during the course of the program. One of you with twins, and another one of you completed your final paper of international business while in the delivery room. It has been particularly gratifying to see how you exemplify some of the things that I hold most dear about this program. You are bright, talented, and committed to the principles of leadership and entrepreneurial thinking, and you are committed to one another. Since the day you arrived, the schools have challenged you to be interesting and contributing member of our community. You have met this challenge as students, and I know that you will continue to do so as you join more than 40,000 Columbia Business School alumni and many more of the Haas alums. This community is more vital than ever, and the personal and professional relationship that you have created in your time at the Berkeley Columbia EMBA program will form the foundations of your lifetime membership in the Columbia and Berkeley Business School communities, as well as with the EMBA of Berkeley and Columbia, about 580 with you. You have certainly learned much in your time here, but let me focus on two things that great business schools like ours can impact. The first is the power of businesses to do tremendously good. That is, business is a force that transforms the economics and society. Unfortunately, that premise is under attack as we are in the midst of one of the most significant financial and economic crises since the Great Depression. To many, the capitalist engine of growth must be tamed swiftly and harshly. What's more, business schools face criticism that they contributed to this financial crisis. My response to this assertion is to reaffirm the positive role that business plays in society and to reinforce the responsibility of schools like ours to create whole business leaders. Your MBA is a calling card that says to the world, I am entrepreneurial. I'm a problem solver who understands the whole puzzle, not just a piece of it, and I can seize upon opportunity in any environment. The second important mark of business schools, a great program prepares you for a lifelong career in business, in social enterprise, in public service. For all of you, that means not only just a skill set, but also a mindset that will enable you to succeed. And because you know more than some less experienced MBAs about what you expect from your careers, you know that the value of your degree and the executive MBA experience will unfold over a lifetime. You are graduating from the business schools in a period of exciting opportunity and change in the world of business, and you no doubt do so with a greater perspective on business cycles. Today's challenges are indeed daunting, but let us also recognize that one invaluable lifelong benefit of your experience at Columbia will be the ability to rely on your MBA training and entrepreneurial outlook to identify opportunity, even during what seemed on the surface to be an inhospitable business climate. Indeed, recognizing and capturing opportunity is especially important and beneficial to society at large during downtimes and periods of recovery. It should not escape your notice that Apple, which got its start during the pre-Volcker inflation-fraught US economy in the 1970s, and disrupted the media industry with the launch of the iPod in the midst of the 2001 recession, did not hesitate at all to introduce its magical and revolutionary iPad and fourth-generation iPhone, even as troubling employment number and economic recovery projections continued to make headlines. Other great entrepreneurs got their stars during tough economic time as well. I'm thinking of such beginnings as Revlon and Hewlett-Packard at the 1930s, the launch of TI transistor radios in 1954, and MTV and Cisco in the 80s. And there are many examples from our own Columbia community, such as Richard Richman, who graduated in 1972 in the midst of an oil crisis and stock market crash, yet went on his career to create one of the nation's largest residential property companies. Or James Gorman, who got his degree just before the stock market crash of 1987 and now serves as the CEO of Morgan Stanley. If we recollect our nation's history and its deep entrepreneurial root, there is reason to believe that entrepreneurship and business opportunity are still very much alive today. So what happens now? In one sense, you will graduate. You will become part of our school's alumni networks throughout the world, and like so many Columbia's Business School graduates have done before of you, will make your mark in the world. I know that you will be inspired by your predecessors, like graduates Jerry Speyer and David Zalesnik, Shelley Lazarus, Henry Kravitz, Horace Carson, Warren Buffett, Art Samberg, Mario Gabelli, Jerry Chazan, Lou Frankfurt, or any of the thousands of Columbia and Berkeley movers of shakers around the world. This community, your network, is a powerful asset that you can leverage for a lifetime. Stay connected to it, reach out to one another often, and use the resources it provides, which you have so richly earned. But on days like this, I prefer the more old-fashioned term commencement, with its explicit reference to transition. You will continue a life of engagement in business and in society. But what I look forward to hearing from you in the years ahead is what you did not expect and got anyway from the program and your degrees. I'm looking forward to hearing what this mindset will give you, your company, and the world. Most of all, never forget what a notable calling business is and the power that ties within each of you to transform lives of other business leaders and entrepreneurs, along with communities and nations around the world. Remember that an executive MBA is a master of choice, and what matters most is not the change jingling in your pockets after commencement, but the change you made in the world. Congratulations to all of you. I would like to turn the program now to Kelly Martin Blanco, the Assistant Dean for Executive MBA and Dean of Students at Columbia Business School, to introduce the class speaker.
Thank you, Amir. It's my honor today to have the opportunity to introduce the student chosen by the class to give today's welcome speech, James Fitzgibbon. James grew up in County Limerick, Ireland, and seeing the Western film, The Magnificent Seven, as a young boy made a big impression and planted a dream in his mind that one day he hoped to own a ranch in the United States. Before that could happen, though, he had to go to school. His parents were passionate about education and determined to give their children the opportunities that learning afforded and that they themselves had not had the chance to access. Your speaker performed well at school, and both he and his brother went on to study at Ireland's oldest and most prestigious institution, Trinity College in Dublin. Shortly after earning a bachelor's degree in science and a clinical doctorate in physiotherapy, an opportunity arose that brought James to New Orleans to work in the healthcare industry. During his 5 years there, he met his wife, a Californian, and the family has called Sonoma home since 2001. Today, he's the regional administrator for a leading healthcare provider, Kaiser Permanente. Gives me great pleasure to introduce James Fitzgibbon.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. I think that introduction goes to show that some people will write anything in their bio to get into a top business school. Thank you to the faculty and to the members of the administration, family and friends, and of course, the class of 2012, more famously known as the Dirty Dozens. I've never seen you look so intelligent, beautiful, or sexy as you do this afternoon. This evening you'll probably look even better after a couple of drinks, and unfortunately in the morning you'll probably look more like reality. Thanks to Carl, especially for bending a lot of rules to get me here on stage. I still have a lot of assignments due, is the truth. A few credits short. To be honest, my GPA might not be the highest, and was frequently below my blood alcohol level. Particularly around March 17th, there was no competition. And to add insult to injury, I'm fairly behind on my tuition payments to both colleges. But what an experience it has been. You know, the marketing material, when you look at it before you enroll in this program, that talks about transformation and a voyage of discovery, and you're not going to really believe how great it is. And I read all that, and being Irish, I said, you know, what a load of old cobblers. Just, I'll pay, I want the degree, let me out the door. But it actually turned out to be true. Last night I was trying to think, how do you encapsulate this in a couple of sentences or a story? What did it mean? What was it all for? And I was reminded of a kind of an idol of mine when I was young, Margaret Thatcher, which is a strange choice, I know. But I've had stranger. But everybody knows she was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and just to clarify, the United Kingdom is not part of the Republic of Ireland. There's been confusion about that in the class. But the morning after her wedding night, she was asked the question by a close friend, Margaret, how was the experience, and what did it mean? Now, like all of the Dirty Dozens, of course, she had waited until her wedding night to consummate. And if you believe that, I hope you can wait until the Claremont. But she had waited, and this was her answer. And if you look at her answer, it sort of speaks to the experience that we went through. So she said, at first I was very scared and somewhat intimidated. Then in the middle there was a lot of awkward fumbling around in the dark and some confusion. And just when I was really getting into the swing of it, it all ended abruptly. I see my wife is nodding her head at the ended abruptly part. Well, the Iron Lady went on to say she had two questions at the end of proceedings. And she said, was it really worth it? And am I really special? And that's really how I think about our experience here. After all the agony and the ecstasy, was it worth it? And was it special? So I'll try to answer those questions from my perspective and then talk in a more global sense. And I promise I have been known to talk for hours, but I'll try to stay respectful to the 15 minutes. And there's no bar, so there's a better chance I'll stick to the time. Well, when I was growing up, my dream was to come to California. And that was largely predicated on Irish television. And we had two channels in Dublin in the 70s, Channel 1 and Channel 2. Channel 1 was 24-hour religious programming. So it was Sunday Mass, the repeat of the Pope's visit, which after the 100th time, believe me, is not compelling viewing. But the better channel was what we call the California channel. And it was a little bit raunchy. So my favorite show at the time was Charlie's Angels. Now, my mother obviously preferred Channel 1, the religious channel. So when Mom was in the room, it was nuns, nuns, nuns. But the minute she stepped out of the door, it was over to Charlie's Angels. Now, the problem was, of course, there was no remote control. So either my brother or I had to station ourselves right by the TV in case she came back in to see Farrah Fawcett in the red bikini and there could be some controversy. So you can imagine my brother was particularly good at this, and he would usually be in this type of position, right wrapped around the TV, with his head here. In the particularly explicit episodes, he would sometimes look a little bit in ecstasy. And luckily, by the time my mother came back in, we usually had flicked the channel. So she would see that posture and position with the Pope. And she still wonders, how come neither of those two guys went on to become at least a bishop? It's not looking good at this point. So for me, it really was a fulfillment of a lifelong dream, and to be here in Berkeley and speaking at Berkeley is pretty unbelievable. But what about for the rest of the class and the rest of the families who sacrificed so much to be here today? That's a more global question at a global time. Well, as you know, I didn't take all of the advanced financial classes, but I'm going to try to do a cost-benefit analysis. It's probably not going to make a lot of sense, but this is the basic premise. You've got to look at the cost first. And there's a physical toll that the program took, and a kind of a common set of symptoms that developed. And I'm going to name some of them, and I'm in healthcare, so I kind of focused in on this. These were what we suffered from: recurrent dehydration, frequent nausea, unexplained falls, easily explained falls, transient incontinence, frequent loss of dignity, emotional scarring. The emotional scarring, I think, is related to the dancing, if you've seen it. An epidemic of bed bugs, sorry, Rich, and at least one undocumented case of hoof and mouth. Now, most MBA classes tend to have an MD or a physician present for obvious reasons. The Dirty Dozens had a veterinary surgeon, and that was exactly what they needed. So thank you, Dwight, for being our medic. But those are just sort of the small costs. The biggest cost, I think, is for those who had to live with us. To live with a fairly high-maintenance group in ultra-high maintenance mode for 2 years is no easy feat. I don't have children, but we did have a dog at the start of the program, and the dog actually moved out in term 3. He's living in New York now with my brother. He couldn't stick it. So no matter how desperately you wanted the program to end, families, friends, wives, and husbands, partners, co-workers were even more desperate for it to end. So I think actually what we should do now, and I want to take the opportunity to thank my wife and my family, is stand up, find them visually in the crowd, and give them a second and big thank you. So, how do we calculate the cost and the benefit? Well, that's where advanced finance classes come in, so I'm going to have to wing it. Seriously, all those classes were tough. Mergers and acquisitions, advanced entrepreneurship. It was tough for me having to listen to you guys complain about them. It really cut into my leisure time. Selfish bums, yeah. Carl Sagan was here in Berkeley for a couple of years, and he talked about the principle of connectivity. He actually said that the cosmos meant that we're all connected at an electronic level. The same principle was studied in Columbia and was called entanglement earlier on. I know Patanjali is about to raise his hand here to explain entanglement. Patanjali, if you can just hold on to yourself. I'm just kidding. The program would not have been the same without Patanjali. It actually probably could have been shortened to about 17 months without the person. We love you, sort of, yeah. So I know I'm getting kind of sentimental and very Berkeley here, but I promise there's a point to this entanglement idea, and it's not just a pint of Guinness. So we're connected and bonded, not even for better. It might be for worse, but it's just an unendurable, unbreakable connection. So I'm going to give some examples. I think examples would make more sense. Let's say Avin is in San Francisco, and he's going to his yoga class, and he pulls on his XXS Lululemon pants for women. Even though I'm miles away, I feel a tightening in my buttocks in Sonoma. I don't know why, and I get no pleasure from it, but it happens. When John Sebastiani saunters into the 9 o'clock class at 2 p.m. on the wrong day, in the wrong campus, with his Wayfarers on, I feel a lot cooler and sexier. When Rupam, and I believe this will happen, when Rupam and the Indian Mafia combine with the WASPs to avert the next financial crisis, even though I'll probably do nothing to help, I'll feel somewhat more intelligent and special. This is connectivity. There's a ton of examples. But what's the most important question? To go back to Margaret the morning after the night before, we all feel, to be honest, that this was the most special group and the most special experience ever in the history of business education. That's confidence with attitude. But in defense, every MBA class feels like that. Every MBA class feels like that. And the truth is, one class has to be right, logically. So with so many schools and so many easier options, why do I believe that about this particular group, at this particular time, in this particular place? That's a fair question. Well, in 1962, John F. Kennedy was here at Memorial Stadium, and he said, I come to Berkeley at a special time, a time of great challenge and opportunity, and how we respond to these challenges as a country will define us in the future as a nation. And more importantly, he said, I believe the answers to the challenges we face will come from a campus such as this. Now, in fairness, he was at Berkeley. He's half Irish, probably would have said the same thing at Columbia. But if you watch the speech, I really think he meant it. Professor Rose is here today. I don't want to single out a single class, but it's hard to imagine a class that better encapsulated our experience than our economics class. I've never cried so much in a class. And it wasn't just because of the situation in my homeland. It was just that type of class. Is there somewhere in the cosmos another Professor Rose? I don't think so. Is there another group of students at the time with what was happening that contains an idealistic Italian, a talented Turk, a generous German, industrious Indians, and gifted representatives of every major economy we studied? All we were missing was one Greek and one Portuguese. But being Irish, I had enough debt for everybody, so I could represent them. I wish it had come a little bit later. We could have made more fun of the French, but timing is everything, huh? But I think overall, when you think about the experience, whether it was the economics class or any of the other professors we got to work with, it was a special time. And both of the deans have alluded to it in their remarks. We studied business leadership when the world really suffered from horrible business leadership. And at the time we studied economics, everybody realized economics really matters, including myself. And when we studied corporate finance, corporations failed us financially and ethically on a global scale. So why did the deans and the faculty and the administrators, why did they bother to turn up each morning to face us? And let's face it, some mornings were not a pretty sight. It didn't look like this. Why did they put their heart and soul into it? Well, I think it's because in the history of leadership, the greatest leaders have emerged at the times of greatest challenge. And all of the faculty deep down, now in fairness, in some cases, Paul Tiffany's not here, in some cases it's very, very deep down, all right, that this is the special group. This is the group with the next Kennedy, the next Churchill, or at least the next Margaret Thatcher. So, no pressure. But I do want to finish with a quote from my countryman, Edmund Burke, which I think might help to clarify what I'm trying to say. You know, he famously said that all that is necessary for evil to succeed is for good men and women to stand by and do nothing. Now, it turns out, actually, that recent research in Dublin, he never said it. He's been taking credit for it for 300 years, but he is Irish, so that's fair enough. But in actuality, he wrote something probably more applicable to our experience and more applicable to what's going to happen in the future. And I think this really encapsulates it. He said, when bad men combine, the good must associate, else they will fall one by one in a contemptible struggle. And I think that's much truer now than even 300 years ago. And there somewhere is the true value of the experience in the fellowship and this unique association between us. And I know that it's not in our destiny to fall about one by one, but rather to combine and to share every success together. So it's my privilege to say well done and congratulations to the class of 2012, the Dirty Dozens.
Very, very well done, James. Thank you for that. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker today, and she is a pathbender if ever there was one. The program has developed a great tradition of inviting distinguished and highly accomplished business leaders to address our graduating class. And this year, our speaker certainly meets those criteria. What's even more special is that our speaker is herself an alum of this program, 2004 graduate of our Berkeley Columbia program. We welcome our speaker, Maura O'Neill. She has enjoyed success after success, remarkable history. She is a leader in public, private, and academic sectors. She personifies the leadership traits that I was describing earlier. Moreover, she teaches entrepreneurship and other courses in the Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA program and also in our evening and weekend MBA programs here at Berkeley Haas. Although she is currently on leave, what is she up to right now? Maura is the senior counselor to the administrator and chief innovation officer of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. She has responsibility for driving innovation as well as public-private partnerships in the agency, which operates in some 80 countries. She has also worked as chief of staff and senior advisor for energy and climate at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. She was chief of staff for U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell from the state of Washington. She has started 4 companies in the field of energy efficiency and curbside recycling, utility billing, metering services. One of the startups was co-founded with a classmate from her program, the Berkeley Columbia program. She was named the Greater Seattle Business Person of the Year. That was 1989. She has a BA and PhD from the University of Washington. By the way, she is also a regular blogger for the Huffington Post. Please help me welcome your fellow alum and innovative leader, Maura O'Neill. Maura.
Rich, that was really a kind introduction. Thank you very much. And let me start by congratulating you. It's just an awesome achievement, and I know it took a lot to get here for you and your family. So I hope you will take more than a moment to deep down appreciate, celebrate, and really be so proud of the accomplishment that you had. I was the James speaker in my class, although I can tell you I wasn't nearly as funny. And so since I look back I hope that it's something I will say will be inspirational today. I'm glad that James took my quota and his of laughter, because he's clearly a pro at that. But thank you so much. So I gave my speech back then on becoming fearless, and you'll sort of see this as a bit of a theme in my life. But my husband said, why don't you just dust that off and give it again? And I said, no. I'm going to talk about something that I think was near and dear to my heart when I was sitting in your place, and I think many of you, and that is transition. And that transition actually started the day that you came. I suspect most of you came to this program as a way of transition. For me, it was a transition after 2 kids, after 2 successful ventures, and a failed one. I enrolled in the Berkeley Columbia program to push myself intellectually, to surround myself with an amazing group of people, and to think more deeply about the next chapter of my life. You may have come here for the same reasons, or maybe you came because you didn't have anything better to do with $150,000 and you wanted a few more letters after your name. But no matter why you came, it clearly represents a transition. You are a different person today as you exit, one more skilled, with a new set of friends that you shared this educational outward bound experience with. And now most of you are privately asking, what was this all about? And so I thought it was supposed to be so clear. I thought that my company would open their arms and a big promotion would fall out on December 31st. Instead, you're sitting here in February, and they say, hey, you've been AWOL for 2 years. Why in the world do you think that you get a promotion the day after you stopped? You thought there would be multiple job offers. You thought that Dean Lyons was going to hand that to you as you walked across the stage today. And instead, you emerged with an unemployment rate of 8.5%, but actually mass a more structural change in the industry. You also thought that the trumpets would play when you went home, and your spouse and kids and your dog would say, where have you been all our life? Instead, they're completely fried, they're completely exhausted, they're throwing the kids into your hands and say, like, hey bud, did you forget you ought to have a date night occasionally? And so you look at this and you say, wow, why did I do this? Where is this going? You know, was this really all worth it? So let me tell you about a few of my classmates. Bryce Johnson was the one I started the company with. He, a few months after the program, decided to quit with 3 children and a 4th on the way, and he was the sole wage earner in his family. So he decided to stay at hostels in New York City while he built a digital textbook company. 2 or 3 years later, he sold it to Follett, the largest textbook distributor, and Amazon was the #2 bidder for the company to put the software on the Kindle. Chris Laughlin, which was a fellow Irishman and equally is just a great addition to our class. He was working for Travelzoo, and they said, hey, you're in marketing, you're pretty good. How would you like to actually move back to Europe and think about opening Travelzoo for Europe? He did that bold move. He left and took that venture on. He did so well that he's now the CEO in New York City of Travelzoo worldwide. And for those of you who don't think that you have to step outside of your existing situation, Ananda Moitra, a close friend, also stayed with his company, Applied Materials, and now has a big honkin' job of a more than $10 billion company in India. So you think that those are actually my classmates, but those are actually your names. We just haven't filled them in yet. So I'm here to tell you that there's amazing things ahead of you, even if you don't know quite what they are today. As I thought about what was important to me, and that I thought if there was some piece of wisdom I could give you today, I thought there's 4 pieces of wisdom. I offer it with humility and hope that you take this moment as you graduate to live the most full, the most gracious life and embrace more deeply the love around you. So the first piece of wisdom I have for you is to be bold. I told you that I had a failed enterprise that actually happened right before. It was the dot-com boom and then became the dot-com bust. It was a real drag to spend 6 months negotiating with suppliers, trying to find new jobs, which we were successful doing for everybody in the company. But at the end of it, I was totally spent. I thought, how in the world can I take another risk? How can I sort of fall off the horse, brush my pants off and get on board? Even for someone like me who tries to live my life fearlessly, that seemed like a bridge too far. So I decided to actually take a physical challenge. I thought, well, maybe that will actually help me. So you will see there's a theme in my life. I decided that I would climb Mount Rainier. It's 14,000 feet. It's the largest mountain in the lower 48. Only I forgot to tell you that I had never technically climbed a mountain before. I'd done a lot of hiking, but that's it. So I began to train, and I began to think about what it meant to be fearless and to take these bold moves and to physically train for this. For the 5 weeks before, I studied, because I did all the things that you did, so I knew that I should look at probability. So I knew the most important thing was what the weather was like that day. So I chose the absolute day that statistically in the last 100 years was the most likely to actually be a clear blue sky. 5 weeks before I started this climb, which was a year before I started this program, I thought I'd do a practice climb on the mountain every week for 5 weeks before. So I get up I drive, it's about 3 hours from my house in Seattle. I get up at 5 in the morning, drive, strap my boots on. They say even if you're doing a day climb, you ought to go with the Park Service and register. I go there, it's closed because they're in a rescue for somebody who's in trouble on the mountain. I also see a Black Hawk helicopter flying over, and I thought, ooh, this is not your local sort of San Francisco park here, Golden Gate. I go up, I go from 6,000 to 10,000 back and go back to Seattle. The next week I do the same thing. The third week I do the same thing. The fourth week I do. Now it's the week before I'm supposed to climb. I go and I park just like I always do. I do this trip in one day. And I can't strap my boots on for the life of me. And I have high-heeled sandals on, not exactly an alternative to climbing this mountain. And so I just am frozen. And I think, okay, there's a pathway that's just about a mile, that's all paved, that's for people in wheelchairs. I'll try that and see if that will sort of get my fear away. I do that, it doesn't. I get back in the car, I drive home, and on the drive home, I say to a friend of mine, he used to be my human resources VP, I said, Eve, I just shut down. The fear just struck me. And it was a beautiful, gorgeous day. There was absolutely no reason not to do this climb. And I had done it every week for the 4 weeks before. So she said to me, Maura, could you clear your schedule tomorrow? And could you actually try this again? I said, I probably could. So I did that, and I successfully did that. The next week was the real summit. I didn't summit. I actually tried, but I didn't get up to the top. But I realized the victory was actually the week before, that that's what I had done. That I realized that so much of our life, we are shut down by completely irrational fears. Not the fear because there was a cloud over there that was reckless, but in fact the fear that we create in our own mind because of things that have happened in the past or because the forward place looks so difficult. So we have one dance card, and I would encourage you to be bold. So here's what I did. Professor Jenny Chapman was my organizational development professor. She asked us the first day of class to write down what job we would like after we graduated. I wrote I wanted to be the Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of State for Entrepreneurship. Now that's interesting, only there wasn't that job. And I didn't have much diplomatic experience, and I certainly had never worked in the federal government. Fast forward 5 years, President Obama nominated me to be the Chief Innovation Officer of the Agency for International Development. I tell you that because being bold starts with imagining what an amazing life would be and an amazing achievement that seems not even to exist today for you, but is in fact out there. The second piece of wisdom I would say is to be generous. And this is a time that you'll have to fight hard. I was invited up to Harvard a few months ago with the Minister of Pakistan and the guy in Colombia that runs rolling out the mobile money, and we all got together and said, is there a theme between the Arab Spring, what's happening in Greece and the Eurozone, Occupy Wall Street, and this low approval of elected officials in the United States? And we said, fundamentally, what's happened is the social contract has been broken. That it used to be that business elected officials and people cared deeply about creating a community and not just sort of getting theirs. And I think this is a watershed. But in fact, we know that there are blazing business leaders who are striking a difference. Oprah, when we had reality TV and people were socking each other on the stage and there was hate radio, she sort of tried that for a little bit. And it was demoralizing to her. Her ratings went down. And so she just one day said, forget it. I'm not in that race. If that's what the race is about, count me out. And she launched a new section of her program called Change Your Life TV. So I'm here to tell you, Change Your Life TV ought to be the center of what it is that you do, and amazing things will happen. I had occasion to spend some time with Muhtar Kent, who's the CEO of Coke. He's a Turkish American, and he said the most amazing thing to me. He said, Maura, if we're going to be around as Coca-Cola 100 years from now, and as you know, they're the best-known brand and most respected brand in the world, he said, it's going to have to be because of who we are and what we care about, not actually the products we produce. And my legacy as CEO is going to be about a company that cares deeply about the world and not breaking that social contract. Indira Nooyi, who is the CEO of Pepsi-Cola, a company that's known for its soda pop and snacks, decided that there was a transition for Pepsi and that they are going to be increasingly the company of nutritious snacks and nutritious foods rather than, the set now won't exactly get them on the cover of Prevention magazine. And so we co-invested as USAID in a plant in Ethiopia to use chickpea to make a paste, like a peanut paste. And we said, we'll use the first output of that to help famine victims in the Horn of Africa, and they invested in it. Those are the kinds of leaders. The Indian-American Indira Nooyi, the Turkish-American Muhtar Kent, and our own Mississippi-American Oprah Winfrey. So I think that they remain huge role models. The third piece of wisdom is be determined and innovate. The fact of the matter is that there's a professor or a teacher at the Haas School, Terry Opendijk, who got for all the Tier 1 VCs in the Valley to open their books for a decade and say, why is it that some of the investments we make become eBay and Amazon and some become Webban and Pets.com? What is it about it? And one of the things that they found is from the time that they invested to the time that there was a successful liquidity event, there were on average 6 or 7 business model changes. So the fact of the matter is, keep your eye on the prize and continue to innovate, and you'll get there. That doesn't mean that every single one will end up being successful, but you ultimately get there. And then my last piece of advice is to be joyful, and perhaps the best piece of advice I give you. Because ultimately it is the fuel that will get you through life. It will be that deep, soulful joy that will create a wonderful new chapter. I have adopted it as my homeostatic state. Now, my first day of work was the Haiti earthquake. I only went home about 2 hours every night for the first month. I, as you will, have experienced job loss and family loss. Listen, that is no fun, and it zaps all the joy out of your system and then some. But if you decide today to adopt as your homeostatic state joy and say, I'm going to figure out how to get back there, you will have the resilience to do amazing things in your life. And so in closing, I invited a friend of mine along who is a jazz singer in San Francisco. She is both globally successful and struggling, which is, I think, the story of most of our lives. And here she has a few words for us as we close.
regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets, but I have learned the all you give is all you get. So give it all you got.
Congratulations to the class of 2012.
Thank you for those words, Mara, and for all you have done and are doing and will do. It is a pleasure now for me to turn it over to our presentation of the Chait Teaching Award. This is our Teacher of the Year Award, and this will be our Dean Stowski, Jay Stowski, and Carol Lowe. They will present the Teaching Award. Please.
Hello, Carol.
Hi.
Thank you for everything you've done all this year.
It was my pleasure. The students and faculty are truly a wonderful group to get to know, and it's absolutely, I'm thrilled that I got to work with each and every one of you.
Congratulations, everybody. Each year as Dean of Instruction at Berkeley Haas, it's my pleasure to award the Earl F. Chait Award for Excellence in Teaching to the Berkeley faculty member who embodies teaching excellence. This award is named after our Dean Emeritus, Bud Chait, who made teaching excellence one of his top priorities. This year's recipient was selected by you, the students of the class of 2012, for his passion, knowledge, and commitment to students.
Here are some quotes from the students about this year's recipient. He showed a determination, empathy, and intellectual curiosity in his teaching and gave 100% to each and every class.
He has an incredible commitment to his craft and the high standards to which he held himself and the class. He never wavered from providing us with the best education he could.
He was an excellent teacher, magnificent in knowledge, humble in the face of what he didn't know, and overall passionate for his subject, which was contagious.
He was able to drive the intellectual curiosity of the class. His class changed the way I look at the world and read the news. On behalf of the class of 2012, we are pleased to present this year's Earl F. Chait Award for Teaching Excellence to Professor Andy Rose.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. As most of you know, there was this one time in September, I was having a dinner with a group of you, as it turns out, and I was interrupted and left the dinner abruptly to find out that I had cancer. And that evening, my wife and I had a conversation and how to deal with this thing. And I sort of lost it pretty early on, and I said, dealing with the fact that I'm associate dean is relatively stressful. However, I'm 40% through this class. What am I going to do with the class? I'm going to fall behind in my notes. I'm not going to be able to follow what's happening. I'm not going to be able to concentrate on classes. And if I'm not tearing my hair out because of the faculty, because I'm associate dean, I'm going to lose my hair because of chemotherapy. And what's that all going to be like? And my wife looked at me and she said, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. They don't care about your hair. I don't care about your hair. In the 14 years that I've known you, you've never combed your hair." Really, though, I really appreciate this. You guys were a really big part of my life during a very difficult time, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been an honor and a pleasure to teach you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And now Dean Ziv will present the award, the Columbia Business School Award for Commitment to Excellence.
It's my pleasure now to introduce the recipient of the Executive MBA Commitment to Excellence Award. This award was established by the Executive MBA graduating class of May 91 to honor the memory of the late Margaret Chandler, a longtime member of the school's faculty. It recognizes a current member of the faculty or administration for their contribution to the class and the program to commemorate the high standards set by Professor Chandler. Your class selected Professor Donna Hittridge as this class recipient. Donna Hittridge had a career in investment banking and a corporate lawyer before joining Columbia Business School in '92. She is currently a senior lecturer in a discipline in a business and a director of our private equity program. This is not her first award. In 2002, she was nominated for the Dean's Award for Innovation in the MBA curriculum for her presentation of the Advanced Corporate Finance course. This is also the third consecutive year she received the current award. Among other things, student nominating Professor Hittridge stated that Donna had the unique ability to teach complex financial topics to engineers, artists, and virtually any non-finance professionals. Donna's energy and enthusiasm for teaching corporate finance made the class both educational and fun, and her dedication to making sure no students was left behind reflect what a great teacher she is. Donna was truly awesome. She was a tough, no-nonsense professor who pushed us in a way we never knew we could be pushed. This course was world-changing. Donna really rocks. I'll ask Kelly Martin Blanco to accept the award on behalf of Donna Hittridge.
Thanks, Samir. So Donna could not be with you here today and asked that I read these remarks on her behalf. So I ask that you take a moment to channel Donna and think of her voice and not mine as I read this. Congratulations on achieving the important milestone of completing your MBA. You worked hard, and with support of your loved ones, what may at first have seemed like mission impossible became a reality with each passing block. I'm sorry I can't be with you here today to share this important event. This week, we had our 18th annual Private Equity Conference at Columbia Business School, and this is just one way that you can stay connected with Columbia Business School in the future, in your post-program alumni lives. I'm honored to have been a part of your IMBA experience, and equally honored and humbled that you have selected me to receive the Columbia Commitment to Excellence Award. You know from our time together that you can reach out to me at any time, and I'll be happy to assist you in whatever way I can. And I do hope to see many of you again in May at Columbia University's graduation ceremony on the other coast. I want to thank all of the Berkeley Columbia IMBA staff on both coasts who were supportive of my teaching and who made each block a pleasure. Finally, I owe a large thanks to Shin Yu, our TA, who sends his regards to all of you from his post as an investment banking associate at UBS. Now, I think it is fitting that I should end this message as we began corporate finance. Everybody ready? Cue Robin. EBIT times 1 minus the tax rate. All the best always, Donna.
The Berkeley Columbia Executive MBA Distinguished Service Award is awarded to the student who demonstrates outstanding service and commitment to the class. This year's recipient was selected by the class of 2012 because of their tireless commitment to building class spirit and a sense of community among the group, and for making this 19-month experience even more memorable. we'd like to mention some quotes from the class about why the recipient deserves this award. This person is the heart of the class and provided the base on which the strong bond in the class developed. The events this person put together made a group of individuals into a class, and a class into lifelong friends.
Someone else said, without a doubt, this person has single-handedly been the chief cheerleader for our program and took enormous lengths to ensure that we all maximized our personal and professional networking opportunities. The dedication this person put on making the BC EMBA experience an incredibly fulfilling one will not be forgotten. On behalf of the class of 2012, we're pleased to present this year's Distinguished Service Award to Robin Kwok.
Great. I was just telling my friends and family outside that I didn't have to speak today, so I had 2 mimosas at brunch. But I do want to say a very heartfelt thank you so much to all of our friends and my classmates in the Berkeley Columbia program. I am so honored and happy to receive this from you. I actually am very shocked. I voted for Joel Minton, who, by the way, was my partner in crime for the first 3 terms, and I share this award with him. I wanted to stress what someone mentioned earlier. I think it's very important. I know that we all probably say this about our classes. I'm sure Maura would have said this about the 05 class, but I think that the 2012s are the best around. And I know that I brag about my class to everyone I talk to. If you look at my friends back there, I talk about my class on a daily basis. But we're really such a unique group. I mean, we really have so many unique and fun characters. We have people who fly in from all over the place who bring their knowledge and their spirit from those countries and from their homelands, and they share it with each other. When I first stepped foot in the classroom, the reason why I even wanted to get involved is because of the sense of community and the sense of culture we had in our class. Whoever helped with recruitment for the 2012s, I commend them because our class has been just so amazing, and I'm just really so honored to be part of it. I also wanted to stress what someone else mentioned earlier today, is that we couldn't have done it without a lot of people around us. I want to thank the program administration, who have been so supportive and just so organized with our program. I also want to thank the faculty for really being there for us and also really transpiring all the different to the different points of the MBA program that we've learned from them. I also want to thank all of our families and our friends because, you know, we really have been we've been in a crazy situation for the past 19 months, and they've been there for us. I do want to say it's not the end, it's only the beginning, but in a good way, because going forward, I don't think any of us could say that we can't reach out to each other and help each other out, and that includes our families. So going forward, it's a Berkeley Columbia family. So congratulations to the Dirty Dozens. Thank you very much. Actually, Declan, can you stay up here with me?
We're now going to do the presentation of the degree candidates.
It's okay. So you'll take a name card.
Right. I'll take the first one.
Yep. James, so you'll shake their hands, walk across the stage and shake hands.
Yes.
All the way across. Okay, just Rich and Amir.
James Fitzgibbon.
Kiati Shah.
Jason Frazier.
Yanni Liang.
Tiffany Lamb.
Ravi Gupta.
Zulma Guzman.
Tanuja Singh.
Joel Minton.
Daphne Hutu Long.
Praveen Rutnam.
John Robinson.
Christopher Abate.
Rita Hui.
Mitesh Bora.
Raghu Kopali.
Nathan John Bloomberg.
Ranjit Jose.
Joel William Gutierrez.
Opal Perry.
Jay Jacobs.
Robin Kwok.
Tara Martinez.
Avin Arumugam.
Jim Farris.
Henry Shao.
Michael Bowers.
Say it. John O.J. Olson.
Marco Gotini.
Catherine Kagan.
Can I say Heather, fiance? Sure. Okay.
And her fiance, John Olson.
Spencer Holt.
Mohammed Maimouni.
Robert Willie.
Jeremy Kish.
Sarah Pollock.
John Woody.
Justin Bellotta.
Patanjali Venkatacharya.
Dwight Godet.
Amit Kanda.
Rich Warner.
Wasim Bawa.
Kamil Aji.
You got that email, right?
I did. I was hoping maybe you changed your plans.
I figured that. What'd you
Jonathan Sebastiani.
Carter Rue.
Yeah, sure.
Oliver Chen.
Milan Mehta.
Oji Udezue.
Jeremiah Anderson.
Derek Anderson.
Kashif Iftikhar.
Rupesh Nair.
Stefan Bolka.
Rajatish Mukherjee.
Agnes Four.
Christoph Vivensing.
Umar Purmar.
Thomas Ruga.
Nilesh Savkur.
David Zilberman.
Aaron Kelly.
Manmeet Gill.
We would also like to recognize those graduates who are in absentia today. Michael Ruhlman,
Prasenjit Chatterjee,
Spencer Looney,
Shino Yamamoto,
Vanya Shaker.
Will all the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration please rise? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the President of the University of California and by the Chancellor of UC Berkeley, I grant you the degree Master of Business Administration. Congratulations. Please be seated. It is now official. All the graduates have here commenced a new lifelong relationship as alumni with the Haas School here at UC Berkeley, and of course also with Columbia Business School and with Columbia University. We welcome you to this new distinction. Take advantage of the impressive alumni network on both sides. It will always be there for you. And of course, we need you to always be there for it. That is what networks are about. Please stay in touch with us here at Berkeley. Stay in touch with Columbia. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you often. Hire from Haas is a very important message from us, and Columbia would deliver the same. In closing, we are full of pride of your achievements with all that you have accomplished, with all that you have been doing these last 18 months. We eagerly await, we anticipate your accomplishments. Be bold, as Maura said, so many things that you have. We are excited about your future. We know you are. You have the best of our wishes in your future success. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming.